Hello Chipsters, it's Gav. This is a bit about face, this video. I'm filming this after I've done the bit of 3D printing that I did, and I've obviously been just showing you small segments as I was doing it. Apologise, there was no lighting, shaky cam. I draw the curtain slightly over the machine because it's near the window, and some people say about the photosensitive resin. So although it's got a case that's UV protected, I just thought no, I'll usually put the curtain slightly over it, but still obviously with the windows open because it stinks. But yeah, it's just a bit disjointed. It's not for anybody that 3D prints that video or this video. It's just for all the guys out there like myself, especially those of us of a certain age. That I mean, saying that, there's a lot of my Maras out there that where computers are concerned are right on top of the ball, and they're in their 60s, 70s, whatever. But I'm not one of them, and it's been when you download, say from my mini factory, you got to check out the files that you're buying, and there are freebies in there. This guy, which you'll see close up, the Barbarian, he was a freebie. And you can get RAR files, which, although my Mara Vasily has sent me a load of stuff, really clear to follow, and it was Vasily, by the way. The only thing is, when we got down to the end of it, because my wife was trying to help me with it, our computer was saying something about it, we didn't have enough space, so that had to be abandoned. So I've got two files that I've bought, I can't use at the moment, and they're nice figures by the look of them as well. The other ones, it says zip files. I take it I can put those straight down because they are compressed, aren't they, I believe. But at the moment, I've just been looking for STL files, which is what you eventually convert most of these down to, I believe. So the Elf Scout, I believe he's called, he's an STL file, so you can literally download it straight onto your computer, put it in G2 box, and then download it straight onto your little stick thing, see, I haven't a clue what they're called, memory stick I call them, and then put it in your printer. So yeah, these are I'm just going for easiness at the moment, just so I don't burn my brain out, just to get a few figures to practice on and paint on when I get the chance. Not because I haven't got enough figures, but yeah, just to have a practice in that. But I basically just wanted to show anybody that, I wouldn't say pros and cons, but anybody that either was just vaguely interested, just to, even if they're never going to use one or get one, just so they can say, well, yeah, I know what, I can understand what it roughly does. And if you are thinking of getting one, as I say, price wise, and I said it on the thing, 170 quid, I don't think, compared to a lot of stuff out there, it's expensive. Things you have to get, obviously resin will cost you anything, £20 to £30 a bottle delivered, depending on what you're having. You either have like the 30-odd pound bottles. They'll often, you can get some that you can just wash your figures in water, because they need to be washed off in IPA otherwise. I went down the IPA route as a practice because I thought, well, I'd use IPA in my model builds and stuff, so it, the airbrush and whatever, so it doesn't really, it's not a huge loss. If I switch to the water, as we know, IPA stinks, and in large quantities it stinks even more. So you've got to buy that. Files, you can get some free ones online, and obviously Thingiverse and things like that, where you probably should put your own supports in. I've been using my mini factory, no tie-ins to these guys, only just because I wanted figures to obviously download and practice on, mainly more fantasy figures and sci-fi figures, which I don't do a lot of, and I'm not so inclined to go out and buy a box of, because I know I'll be stuck with a box I'll spend years not touching. So yeah, I mean, money wise, is it cost effective? If you're building a 40k army, one of these fantasy armies of any description, Probably is, because once you've bought the file, you can either download it onto a stick, or My Mini Factory, it automatically puts them in your library, as it's called, and you can just keep going back to those files at any time and downloading them again. They also, a lot of them come in, I'm not sure, I think this Barbarian might have been 54mm as well, but they do 75mm figures. Sorry, you can scale them up to 75mm for display painting, which was another idea of me getting the machine. That's not to say I won't still be using El Greco and that to get a lot of my busts, because I just think that casting wise and that it's probably a lot better. But you never know. I am going to try doing some small busts and 75mm figures, not just yet. As I say, these figures took about 5.5 hours. It said 6.5 hours on the machine, but I think for some reason it's 5.5 hours when I actually did them. So that's a long time for 4 figures. I could have got some more on the plate, pushing them around, and if you tilt them up at 45 degrees or something like that, you can get a lot more on. I didn't, one, because I wasn't trying to squeeze a lot more on, and two, I didn't really know what I was doing. And as I say, at the moment it's just, let's get some figures printed, see what they look like, and enjoy a bit of painting, and then progress, hopefully. So we'll go down to the bench and we'll have a look at the figures. There are only 2. I've multiplied them twice, so 2 of each. Would have been easier to say in the first place, wouldn't it? So 2 Barbarians, 2 Scouts. See you in a minute. Right, Tubesters, welcome to, I suppose, the bench. Obviously this is my laptop. This is just showing, if you can see with the glare, this is what I'm about to print. I can't get it much clearer than that. Let's have a look, see if we can. We've got, on the lower part, we've got, with the swords up, that's 2 Barbarians, and these other guys are 2 like 40k space elves. I'm not really good at things, you know what I'm like. We can move that around. See, here we go. Well, this isn't for people that are knowledgeable on this type of subject. It's just for my Maras, my friends, my buddies out there that don't really know much about 3D printing, and I'm one of them. So all the stringy bits that you see hanging down there, they're actually supports that are going to support the figure during the build process. It's the grid square that it's on is actually replicates the build plate on the machine, so I could squeeze probably maybe another 1 or 2 on there if I really wanted to, but I'm just practicing at the moment, learning the way. I've got a big troll to put on there at some stage in the week or next week. I'm not sure if these are going to actually turn out any good. As I say, this is going to be my first proper print. So yeah, I just wanted to show you what it looks like in the program called Cheeto Box, which comes free with the machine. I've downloaded it onto a USB stick, and I'll now put that USB stick into the machine, and hopefully it'll tell the machine to print what's on the screen here. That's hopefully. Bearing in mind, guys, as well, you're seeing that stood up. Well, actually it prints upside down, so the plate, so the grids that you see, the plate, they rise up and fall out of the resin, and it gets photo cured as it goes, which is why you need the supports, because obviously upside down and that you're going to be losing swords and things won't be made because they're not going to be strong enough. Also, you can put these on angles and stuff. I'm just not good enough yet. At the moment I'm just having a go. So right, we'll have a look at the machine when she starts to print. Hopefully she starts to print. Well, Tubesters, the USB is in the machine and she's chugging away. It did actually tell me 5.5 hours to print this. It's saying on here 6.5 hours. I don't know. It is what it is. This is the base of the figures, and it'll build from that. Can you see in there? the machine is in the build plate's in the resin at the moment, and this is called the FEP, which is the tank more or less that you put your resin into. You probably hear the noise, that's about as noisy as it gets. So there's slight odour. I've got windows open. They do say it's best not to do them near too much light. I've got the curtain slightly drawn across it, although you'd think that I think actually this red thing here is actually UV protected type of thing. But yeah, that'll just go along, and it'll tell you as it does each slice. I've put it in G2 box. I've downloaded the figures from my mini factory, and they will. I mean, if they actually work. If they don't work, obviously you'll see it anyway, one way or the other. And obviously it gives you a percentage there where it's actually how far you've actually got on it. I wouldn't encourage you to keep looking too much, because it's going to be a long build. As I say to you guys, if you think this is some quick process, you know, and it's, I don't know, if you're thinking it as a money-making thing, I suppose if you can do your own projects on there and print them out, you know, maybe it might be, but it really, for me, it's just about getting different figures really, and something different to do. As I say, the machine for me, I got it in a sale, new for I believe £170, and yes, it's £170, but in the scheme of things compared to other things you can buy, it's, you know, it's not that bad. As I say, there's a big faff involved. You know, you've got to download if you're not computer literate like me, downloading STL files are the best ones. The first ones I did was RAR files, and I hadn't a clue. My mate Vasily sent me a load of stuff for me and the wife to try and get through, and our computer in the end said it didn't have enough space or something on it to do that. So I've gone back to getting these STL files, which go straight into G2 box. I think as this side of, if you want to call it, the hobby of figures actually evolves, more and more will just, if guys want to sell their figures or sell their files, if they make it as easy as possible for people like me who've got no idea what they're doing, to actually get them and put them into their machine, obviously they'll sell more files. So yeah, we've got we'll start again. We've got a barbarian in there ×2, and some form of space elf sniper stroke scout, which I like the look of, ×2. And as I say, if these do work, I'll then go and print off an ogre sometime later on in the week, hopefully. Right, I'll see you later. Well guys, if you can hear me over the machine, she's done. You can see we've got something through the perspex. So let's get the top open and have a look. Right guys, if you can hear me over the screeching parrots of the house over the back, I just wanted to show you what it looks like. So there's your build plate, and here's our figures hanging there. They look okay. You can see swords all look good. The sniper rifle debris sticking up. This is our tanker resin. Now we need to move fast with that because it's a photo, you know, it works on light, so we need to get that in the bottle again, save it. You can see I filled it up to just below the maximum level. It'll give you an exact how many millimeters or milliliters, you know, the fluid that you need, but I just fill it up and then reprocess it again when it's needed. But that's roughly, as you can see, the shiny bit, how much she's used up there. So we're looking at about 5 hours, 5.5 hours. I don't think it was whatever it said, the 6 hours on the thing. I might be wrong. I've not really paid that much attention. I find that it's only my second time it's actually printed anything. I did that little rook, and now we've got this. So next time you see these guys, they should be off the plate, but I need to work fast now to get that resin back in the bottle. We'll see each other soon. Right guys, again, sorry about all the parrots and all the ambient noise. It's baking hot in the UK, and it's obviously upsetting the parrots. These are our figures. These are our barbarians. These are what the person that sculpts them called Old Hammer. You guys know more about that than me. I know it harks back to the early Warhammer days, I believe. This one was actually a free one, like a sample. You can see all the little supports that they put around it. If you're going to do something unsupported, you've got to work out all those supports yourself. At the moment, I'm just being lazy and I just want to paint figures at the moment. So this guy here is like, this guy here, it's alright, they're in an alcohol at the moment where I'm just brushing them off, but this guy here is like a 40k, where are we, Gav, come on, 40k sniper. It's right, I haven't got my glasses on so I can't see what I'm doing. I've got safety glasses on at the moment. But yeah, so these are all he's lying on back on a big piece of brick or something, so it appealed to me, that one. I think this one was about £3, but you see all the supports needed. So yeah, next time you see him, we'll have them all cut off and dried off, hopefully. Right guys, thanks for joining me at the bench. Here's a sum total of 5.5 hours printing. That don't put you off, nothing will. They are light grey. It's quite bright in the room today, so I apologise. Let's see if we can. Now, this I didn't realise, but the guy who's designed this actually based this off on a fellow YouTuber, Joe from Mad Genius Productions. It turned out he was playing baseball in his local park, and the bloke said, well, you take that bat out of his hands and put a great big sword on, and that's just what I'm looking for. Yes, Joe does go down to his local park in furry loincloths. It's just how he feels, you know. He's a free spirit, Joe is. Anyway, let's get back to the question. So these are 3 resin. I've just drilled a couple of holes in there for putting down on a base. They do come with base. I thought this one came with a base, so whether I've pressed the different files, sometimes you'll find that the bases are obviously on a separate one. I might be wrong, it doesn't really matter, because I was going to put my own base on this one anyway. The idea with this guy, he's very Conan-esque, as you can see. Now this is what they call an old hammer. Most of you guys that know fantasy, and I don't really, will know it goes back to the old Warhammer days, of the early ones. But yeah, very Conan-esque. Not a lot to him, but I thought with these I wanted to do some OSL. I wanted to put him maybe on a lava bed with some light coming up and some shadow and that, so it was just a way to teach myself to do that. Both figures, that I wouldn't have thought why they wouldn't have both come out the same, but they did. So the 2 holes there in the sword are meant to be there, by the way. But you can see all there's no styrations in this resin printing. As I say, one of the downsides is they stink. You're supposed to get some more less odourless resin, and you can get some filters as well, extra filters. But I wasn't sure if they were battery operated. Elegoo do. People were saying they were good. See, that needs a bit of a clean off there yet still. But yeah, I've washed these in IPA. Loads of supports over them, but not too many. In fact, the sword was completely free. I can just feel there's a bit rough there that needs to have, and that's not styrations, that's just a bit of a support probably that needs cleaning off. Yeah, that's our 2 barbarians, and this is our elf scout. Hopefully, I did think of trying to prime them up before I showed them, but I thought I really wanted to show you these as is. So he's got his own communications antenna there, and he's got some obviously battle damage wall he's leaning on, a couple of lights in there. And I thought with this one again, I'm going to put on non-metallic, and I'm going to put some light sources going off him. So this one was a bit of a nightmare, not only to remove the supports. There were so many supports, and that's not I have no idea, it probably needed all those supports. But what I'd suggest to you is, if you're a noob like me, put the photograph of My Mini Factory on your computer or tablet or whatever you're looking at, and make sure you know where everything is, arms, legs. Because yes, I don't know if it's this one or is it this one. Might be that one. Yeah, it's this one. Needs a tiny bit of filler. Gav went and cut a support off there, went too deep and cut his complete hand and weapon off, and I've had to super glue it on. Yes, Gav spent 5.5 hours printing off something just to go and snap his hand off. I must say snap. It's not brittle. I had to crunch it off with the cutters that they supply. And because this one was absolutely covered in supports, you could hardly see the guy for supports all the way around and underneath. And it's made for a great figure. Don't get me wrong, but all I'm saying is, if you don't know what you're looking at, or you're not familiar with a genre of figure that you're printing off, if it's covered in supports and you have got lots of fine details, then I'll maybe just have the photograph up so you know what you're cutting off. So there we go. That's our 5 hours of printing. And like I'm sure most of you are saying, I couldn't be bothered. Yeah, I don't really care, to be honest with you. It's don't bother me. The smells, not great, and it can be messy in the clean up at the end. Cleaning up the FEP, which is that little resin tank you've seen on the video, and cleaning up the base plate and cleaning up the figures. That's messy. Obviously I put them on a tray and do all that stuff, keep the mess down, and especially as I've got really limited space. I mean, it wouldn't be so bad if you've got a separate workshop that isn't damp and all that. Obviously you don't want to get all the stuff into the computer part of the machine, but I haven't, so you've got to go with what you've got. So guys, I hope that's been of interest. Probably not, but I just wanted to show you what roughly was inside a printer and what it does, type of thing. As I say, I don't think I'm going to be converting lots of people into buying them, and probably, how technology advances, I would have thought within the next few years, this is 5 hours of these will probably be more like about 20 minutes, but at the moment we're at the 5 hour stage. Now I've got a troll, a stone troll, or was it an ogre? I can't remember. Some big bold bloke with a big rock on his back. So it's only going to be in 32 scale, so it's going to be in this scale, but obviously because he's an ogre, he's going to be bigger. And I'll probably be able to get 2 or 3 of them on the build plate as well, and I'll get those off. So that'll be some part in the later on in the week. I might show the figure off when it's done, is just part of a video, as another video, and just say, this is the ogre I've done. So guys, thank you very, very much, and I appreciate you stopping by. Victor, I've got your card. I'll be putting a little video up on one of my other videos with that. I just didn't want to do it on this one because it's all over the place, as most of my videos are. So thanks, Victor, for the card, and as I say, I'll be putting that up probably in the next video. Look after yourselves, guys. Take care, and we'll catch each other soon on another video.